Right, welcome back to the pod. Sorry, we had a really... you know what? You know this by this point. Nothing's an ever normal start here. It has to be slightly incomplete. Or just completely screwed up in 7 ways from sideways. I love saying that phrase. I don't know why.
You do. You said it twice in like 20 seconds, but the audience have only heard it once because you didn't clap, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah, because I'm too lazy to do the editing properly, so I always wait for the moment I clap, and then I just let it run. Because it's much better that way. But no, it's another week. We're now recording this on a Wednesday, because we gotta love Wednesdays, to be fair. I actually don't mind them. It's Mondays I hate and Thursdays. I don't know why.
I mean, you know, our weekly shop's on a Wednesday, so, you know, it's normally a good day. Once it's sort of back. Morning, like breakfast, yeah, bit dodgy, but after that, well, I'm not there for lunch, so yeah, after that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, to be fair.
But you mentioned not like editing. I've got back into editing, haven't I?
True. You've had a very productive week, to be fair.
I have indeed. So I've edited my first video in a while.
He has.
I'm actually like for a video that's got very little like relevance. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'd say
it's
so,
just a random league video.
It's
It's got about just shy of 50 views, which normally on videos like that I expect nothing.
Oh, you did upload it then?
Yeah, I uploaded episode 1. I've uploaded episode 1 of the Mers League. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to go watch it. Ooh, I'll put it in bed tonight.
What a co-host! Not even supporting his friend. Jesus.
Wait, I had notifications turned on, but never came through. So,
disrespectful. Screw you, YouTube. But yeah, no, I've done that, and I've obviously added a few. I've added a few things to stream as well. I ended up having to edit together some sound alerts.
True,
so it's been a surprisingly productive week for someone that's not done much at all for about a year in terms of editing.
True, you're back on the content grind. You are regularly streaming now to a degree. Because you do what I do with streaming, to be fair, where you'll do it like a few days in a row, and then it'll be like next week's turn, which is technically consistent. Technically, you went from not streaming to doing it more than once a year, so consistently.
I mean, I've streamed like quite regularly, honestly. Like even if we're comparing me to my old standards, like I'm not locked down like LAJS, but I'm pretty freaking consistent. Oof.
Mate, even when I was working full time during COVID and still streaming, I still wasn't streaming every day. I couldn't do it. I did it like every other day though, to be fair.
There was a time when I think I had like we discussed this before, I'm pretty certain. I had like probably a 25, 26 day month.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having some of them, but so it's all good.
But other than as well as a productive week, you had a decent week.
Yeah, no, it's been a decent week. There's been a few interesting things we've come across. Obviously today, Shadow of the Erdtree dropped. I know you cannot wait to discuss this,
mate.
Sorry, hang on. Sorry, I misspoke. Sorry, the trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree dropped. It didn't drop. It's dropping in 4 months.
Yeah, definitely.
That would have been. That would have been.
I just heard Shadow of the Erdtree. I was like, yes.
And I was like, yeah, no, it comes out in 4 months. Which
you know what? I'll just drop the pod in 4 months' time. Then it's relevant then.
Yeah, exactly. Then we can just edit in that soundbite. I want you to just get that one bit. You hate editing. I want you to edit that one bit out and just add that into the pod at the time. You know what?
I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this pod in 4 months' time, and I'll be like, we've played it. See, Luke was right. It came out just to prove a fucking point.
So, from what we can see, it has got the typical FromSoft doesn't miss on DLCs kind of vibe about it.
But on
the only one I said to you, the only DLCs I can think they missed on really, and even this is just because it gave me trauma, is Dark Souls 2. Had some great bosses, also had Lud and Zullen. If you don't know what that is, Nath, I don't think you do.
Nope.
Okay. Basically, it's a gank fight. They love gank fights, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gank fight against 2 like giant dogs. One spawns in later and is also invisible, I'm pretty certain. And also, if you die to them, you have to go through, and I don't think people will disagree with me, the worst run back in at least FromSoft history. Could be wrong and say I was gonna say worst run back of all time, but I mean I'm not gonna go that far. But it is bad. Like, you are in a blinding snowstorm, getting attacked by freaking really quick, I'm pretty sure it's enemies on horses, or just generally, like, no, it's just a reindeer. That's what it is, the freaking reindeer. You're just blindly going through in a straight line. There's one or two small structures. It takes minutes, and it's a slog to get back to the boss, let alone just kill the boss. Like, there's that one, and there's Blue Smelter Demon, also known in the community as Blueberry.
Why is it known as Blueberry?
Oh, it's just what I remember from the Democracy video.
Ah,
Called it Blueberry once. I don't know if it's actually something that stuck, but I just remember that quote. But it's, I hate it. The walkbacks in Dark Souls 2 make me so grateful for Stakes of Marika. They make me so grateful. The fact that they stop half of those, because there are things that you look at in Elden Ring and you go, oh, thank God I don't have to run back through that again. We just got the Stake of Marika and we're pretty much at the boss door.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2, if it had Stakes of Marika, you'd have been fine. You wouldn't have to deal with the reindeer. You wouldn't have to deal with the 50 plus enemies in a tight space in the freaking way to Blueberry. I hated it.
And here I thought you loved it.
Didn't mind Dark Souls 2. Like, it's probably the weakest of the games in the series, but didn't mind it. I enjoyed certain DLC bosses. Sir Alan, Elena was all right. I'm trying to remember the others. There was the Slumbering Dragon. That was quite a nice fight. But yeah, and I've forgotten the main. Who's the main one of the other? Oh, I'm drawing a blank on.
I would help. I have not a fucking
I think
clue.
it's Fume. It might be Fume Knight. I think I'm gonna have to check that. But yeah, some great boss fights, and also them.
The ganks.
There was I forgot Gank Squad exists as well. There's literally just a free NPC. Oh, not free. Like, it is essentially just a 3-on-1 gank fight.
Oof. Oof to goof.
And it's just like normal NPC characters.
Yeah.
As bosses.
Jesus Christ.
Like, it's not. Dark Souls 2 loved that, just making normal-ish kind of things bosses. Famously, Prowling Magus and Congregation. Legitimately, you walk into that room. If you've died to Prowling Magus and Congregation, I'm sorry. You must have put the controller down.
I never picked it up, never played it.
I mean, I can tell you one embarrassing fight I died to. Like, with me calling people out if they've died to that, I've died to Pinwheel before. Which, that's infamously, like, awful as well. Like, I went there, I stupidly went down, rather than try and take on the Taurus demon first, I went into the catacombs and went to Pinwheel, who you probably should be able to beat comfortably, even, like, not soul level 1, but, like, close to it. Like, you should just be breezing through it. And nope. No, I was too passive. That's a thing I do in sort of boss fights normally. Nowadays, like, I'm not, but you freaking probably call me over aggressive. But yeah, back then I was sort of just like, all right, try and see what attacks, get used to it, and you could just beat him up. You just run to him and beat him up. He creates a couple illusions, that's it. Does nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I managed to die to, I think it was a flame attack.
To be fair, flame attacks do tend to just be the stupid ones you always die to. And look at Fire
No,
Giant.
but it's just no. Comparing Pinwheel to Fire Giant is an insult. You can compare Pinwheel to Soldier of Godric, the tutorial that's not even a tutorial.
All right.
You could compare him to that. Like, he's slightly more threatening than that.
That's not too shabby then. Trying to help you out here and saying you didn't die to someone
it's
awful.
no, there's no helping now. It's awful.
Fair
Like losing to Pinwheel is something I am ashamed of.
So if you had to say then, on average, how many hours does each DLC tend to give the game? Are we talking 20, 30? This is not saying like,
bear in mind these were so. Obviously, it's a bit different with Dark Souls 3.
Right.
Dark Souls 3, you've got like it was a fairly quick DLC outside of Sister Freed was the first DLC.
Right.
Second one having Gale, and I actually still have not beaten Dark Eater Midir. They put several hours on you.
Okay.
Like they are the two hardest bosses in that game.
And this one's rumored apparently to be as strong as Melania.
Yeah, which the fact that I did Melania in about a day, was it? 2 days?
Something like that.
Like these are obviously not short days, freaking after spending like hours on it, but yeah. It's gonna be a good challenge. Like
I don't know why I've always found I found Melania easier than the Elden Beast, and
I found that fascinating considering
which
I nearly like the fact that I actually was doing that well on Radagon and Elden Beast had you really not annoyed, but you were getting like
because I stopped playing the game because of those two. Not because like the thing is I have a really bad habit of when I get a new game or I get a new TV show, something where I play it until I either A, burn out, or watch it until I burn out, or B, it frustrates me to that point. And I'd basically played Elden Ring non-fucking stop, no game in between near enough. You know, I'd spent 14 hours one day playing Fire Giant and eventually beat it. Melania took maybe an afternoon and a half. I found her a lot easier than I expected. She was fucking insane, but for some reason, it wasn't the attack pattern with Radagon. It was more. I was either too passive with him at times, or I was too aggressive. I could never find the right balance at times.
Yeah, I mean, I found with how I played that, I found I traded more with Radagon and then was just better at avoiding Elden Beast. So I'd trade, like maybe use about 3 or 4 flasks on Radagon and then have my remainder left for Elden Beast, which, you know, the time I was actually successful, I did I switched my weapons mid-run.
Yeah.
So I went from using the Moonveil against Radagon to going, do you know what? Nath will hate if I beat him with the pickaxes. And yeah, it made sense. It did make sense because
he was more immune to physical.
Less.
No, Elden Beast's main weakness was physical attacks.
Yes, you said he's more more. Oh no, I thought he said more resistant.
No, more weakness.
Yeah, more weak. He's definitely more weak to impact damage.
The thing is, I think the first time I did them, the first few times I tried to do it, the first 1,000 times I tried, I think I just let the pressure of beating the game get to me. I kept thinking, wow, I've done really fucking well. First time I've ever played a Souls game, I've absolutely loved it. Now I want to fucking beat him. I want to end it now. It was one of those where I'd fought so hard to get to that point. My first ever game without any help. I'd gotten so fucking close. Like, you know what? I'll do it. And I just kept bottling it. I'd smash through Radagon and then get to Elden Beast and die instantly. Sometimes I'd struggle through him and then get Elden Beast down to the last bit and then I'd fuck it up. And then all it took was me to have a 2-year break. Or how long, when did Elden Beast, when did it come out? 3 years ago?
So it would have come out, I believe,
2021, right?
2021. I think it was early 2021.
So yeah, 3 years then. So yeah, so I took a 3-year break from it, came back and did it in, what was it, 4 hours?
Yeah, it was about that.
But then again, I play games somewhat differently now. I was more cautious. I knew the moments to dodge, the moments to work out what I did wrong, what I didn't do wrong, all that kind of shit. Like before, I kept thinking it was my weapons and stuff. I switched countless builds and stuff to try and do it. I kept, changing build, changing this, changing that, respec this, respec that, and realized I just need to learn how to play the game properly more.
Yeah, I mean, you did decide to go Blasphemous Blade, didn't you, in the end?
The last attempt, yes. At that time, I think I allowed Titch to sort. I think I managed to keep Tish a lot. He had a lot more health by the time we'd gotten to him this time, so I just sort of let him be the aggressive. I'd stand clear and just spam Blasphemous as much as I could. Even though he wasn't that, it wasn't really the biggest weakness I could use against him, but I knew if I got close, I'd fuck it up somehow. So I was like, I'll just stay distant. I just used him as higher powered weapon I got. Fuck it. I am not doing anything else. But
see, here's the thing that I want to do, because I'm going for the platinum.
Yeah.
First 2 runs, sure, I'll just do whatever. The 3rd run, I'm gonna put a stipulation on.
Right.
I'm not gonna use any summons.
Oh.
Like, so we've both been using Black Knife Tish.
Yeah.
But and to be fair, I've used so to beat Draconic Tree Sentinel, I've used the summon there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go pure, because I know people judge others for, you use summons or whatever, like it's not the true, whatever. But I want to do it still. I want to actually be able to say, yeah, I did it without summons. And that'll be my normal playthrough, because this one's my Frenzied Flame attempt.
Because I was like, I obviously started doing the New Game Plus at the same time as you were doing your run throughs, and I was like, you know what, I'll apply that. And I played that for a bit, and I enjoyed it, but I was stomping everything. Because obviously I'm higher leveled, and I was like, sound. And I think now with this DLC coming out, yeah, I'm gonna start a new save with that easily. Brand new save, not New Game Plus, just fresh from the beginning. Because I don't like the idea of playing a DLC and a completed save or halfway through save, no matter what the game is. I like the idea of a fresh save DLC, because then it feels like the game's introducing it a little more naturally, rather than, oh, here's your already built world, your already built circumstance, here's something else now. And I'm like,
well, I mean, the way this is, right? So I'm just trying to remember exactly where they were in the game previously. So I know in Dark Souls 3, it was at the Cathedral of the Deep, was one of the DLC locations. I believe that was for the Ashes of Ariandel.
right.
Dark Souls 1, you could access it quite early.
Okay.
You could access it as soon as you got to Darkroot Garden, I believe. So you had to just go where the Kraken boss fight was. Oh, the Kraken, Jesus. The Hydra.
Yeah.
Just beyond that, you'd get the DLC sort of interactions there. Dark Souls 2, you had to get one for beating the Old Iron King, and I'm trying to remember where the Ivory King DLC was. I think that was the second one. I can't remember that one. So, with it being after Morg,
Yeah.
Mo, whatever.
Luke.
I think it's Morg, because it's Morgwyn's
Probably.
palace. So, being after that Great Rune is probably, for some people, quite late in the game to do. So you've got a lot to get back to it.
Oh shit, yeah.
That's why I'm like, when you're talking about, oh, you've already got a set save, I'm like, it's actually quite late on generally. Unless you decide to go with an underleveled character and push through, then... And just because there is an alternate way to get to Morgwyn's palace early.
Yeah.
There's a side quest that teleports you to that sort of an area.
True.
So unless you do that specific side quest to get there,
Something apart,
you're not going to be getting there early.
I don't know why, but the way the Earth Tree looks, for some reason, because obviously the Earth Tree's twisted now. For some reason, I feel like the word, and I might be reading too much into it, the word shadow of the Earth Tree. So if the Earth Tree's bent and, let's say, gone backwards, like it looks like it's half twisted over, maybe it's the other side of the Earth Tree we haven't gone to, hence the word shadow. I don't know. I can't really remember the map from the top of my head.
Without sort of knowing, and obviously there'll be a Vardy video, sort of video probably in the coming days that will address certain things from this, but honestly, is it even the same Erdtree? Because there's Mikkela's Halig tree,
yeah,
where you fight Melania, so there is different trees. I know it's the Erd tree, But obviously, spoilers for a 3-year-old game here. You burn the tree in the game, so obviously it's either got to be set in the past, but why would it be sort of bent down at that point if it's or arched over?
Yeah.
If it goes to how it is nowadays, so it might be an alternate tree, is what I'm thinking.
Unless the fire causes the tree to shrivel and snap. One of those kind of things.
I mean, but at that point, you've got to think it's still on fire by the time that you face Radigan. So unless it's canonically happening after you've beaten the final boss,
probably maybe. The thing is,
that would be.
I'd also want to know how the fuck he's alive, because you literally see his corpse with a hand hanging out, and he was used as a sacrifice by his own brother. No,
it was stolen. He was stolen.
Right, who was? But what was the relation between Moog and him? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Hey, I'm a Google.
I'd have to look into the lore of it, but I know his sister was Melania.
I did.
And Melania went. It was when Melania went and attacked Radahn, which is when Morg then took him from his Halig tree. That's when that happened. So when Melania attacked Radahn is when Morgwyn took Mikula.
So, Mikula put himself inside a cocoon that would rebirth him as a demigod without his eternal youth curse. Moog ripped off the cocoon for the process finished. We don't see how the rest of his body, but I assume like half adult, half child now. Oh, I'm not reading all that. That's fucking nope.
So my guess there is potentially it's an alternate timeline or something like that. Like, cause
they're cousins.
They're cousins. Okay.
Pretty sure. Right, this is how they understand it. Moog kidnapped Mikula to make him a lord so we can understand New Empire, the power of an Emperor, with Moog at the head. However, Mikula has the power to charm people. Mikula's rebirth would never actually happen, so since Moog kidnapped him, it destroyed his cocoon, which started as a selfish act, and he would do his bidding. He turned around to be the nature of Mikula's power. So even though he couldn't be fully reborn at this point, so I think he's in a coma, judging by sounds.
So it's going to be in. So what, it could potentially be inside his mind? Almost like I feel that's going to be wet. We're looking way too into this for someone that's not watched an analysis video of the freaking trailer.
It's that thing to do with the arms that you watch them in the trailer. His arms look fucking long. Now, if half his body's half human, half adult, it'd explain why his arms are both short at one point and then long the rest. Because it's like, it goes like that, and then it's like long and fucking just thin from that point. He looks like a fucking twig with arms at that point. Let's hold up. The face scene is Mikula's face that uses his own blood to nurture the tree. If he's eternally, why is their arms sticking out the cocoon like a dumb old frail? The original question is the only aspect in this question of Mikula's gender is his female aspect, Saint Trina. To make him grow up and make him a slave. I don't have a clue that there's too many theories going around by sounds of it.
I mean, it's like how there was theories about Artorias when that was happening. Like, you'd see Artorias items in the game, you didn't see anything of Artorias. At least this one, you've actually seen something of Artorias.
True.
Like, even when you had to kill Sif, you'd get the... I can't remember the name of the ring is, but it's something to do with Artorias. Because it allowed you to walk in the Abyss. Artorias the Abyss Walker. So there was always theories about certain characters coming up in DLCs that are hinted in the main game. So it would just be we have to wait and see, and well, we just have to wait for a good analysis video, I guess. So there's plenty of them going to be going around. Some people reacting to the trailer straight away, and some people will make detailed hour-long breakdowns. So
from what I can figure, from a really, really amateur perspective, is I think he's been alive this whole time inside the cocoon. I don't think he was. I think he's just been in. It keeps saying on like even on his Moog's resemblance thing that he was unresponsive. It never says that he died or he was killed. He was kidnapped, and then when he tried to force him to grow up so he can become his consort as a monarch, he was then unresponsive. So my bet is he was unresponsive, but he was alive the whole time. So maybe half his body's, because it's been stuck in the cocoon, has been like, I don't know, rejuvenated into a kid kind of body, where it's like quite youthful, whereas the other half might be old shriveled man or something like that. It does look very freaky looking in the trailer, to be fair. And his moveset kind of it reminded me of someone. I don't know who. It was that Moog, I think. It was that blood. He has I swear he had an ability in the trailer where like he throws some kind of blood thing in front of him and then he sets fire to it. Whereas like, so I was like, oh, because obviously I know Moog experimented on him, so I don't know if he now has abilities that were similar to what Moog had. And I was like, oh, like that's what I'm more like, more than the gameplay, more than anything. I love the idea that there was a hidden thing in the plot. They never spoke about it. They only really little bit, because obviously I think that was the whole point of the plot. The actual thing itself this whole time was to go back to, you know, Mikula and see what they could do with him. But the idea, if it's not quite literal Shadow of the Erdtree, so we're on the other side of the lands, then I'd like to know where if it's not that side and Mikula's been there the whole time, or bless you, and he run away to the other side or something, I don't know. There's no way he could have been in the normal lands this whole time. Not a chance. No matter how decrepit Melania is, she would have known. Surely. Her and her brother were that close. She was distraught from his supposed death and all this. And she was protecting his face in the tree.
Yeah.
So there's no way she'd do all that knowing he's alive elsewhere. Not a chance.
I mean, to be fair, she didn't know where he was. Surely if she knew where he was, she would have absolutely murdered the hell out of Morgan.
Exactly. So I think in her eyes, in everyone's eyes, he was quote unquote dead. Well, everyone thought he was anyway. No one thought he was unconscious or some shit. But I'm no.
There would have been theories. There would have been theories from people. If you're talking canonically in game, people thought he was dead. Then yes.
Yeah.
I reckon people in game would have thought he's dead. But I think generally people would have gone, yeah, he's still alive. It's
just a question.
He's gonna be like when they released that one picture like last year for the DLC teaser, people would have gone, what? He's gonna be alive in some way. Like it's focused on,
and he looks perfectly fine. Just look a bit weird.
Yeah, because I think it was just Mikula on a horse was the.
I think so. Yeah, I remember that.
Was the picture, if I remember.
Like they've been hyping this up for a long fucking time. This DLC.
A year.
That's mad. Even for DLC, that's mad. Like,
because I remember people saying, "Oh, there's a new thing added to the playlist for FromSoft."
I remember that. That was like
Bandai Namco. So I wasn't FromSoft.
Yeah.
But for Bandai Namco, there's a thing added, and that was on exactly the day from when they posted the picture, and it was like, "There's a new. It's gonna come out, guys. We're gonna see it," and it didn't.
Yeah,
but it wasn't too long after.
Like I won't lie. Elden Ring is the only game of its kind where I was actually interested. I looked at Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, I'm not interested. It wasn't that they looked like really cool games, and I've watched people play them and enjoyed them. I never wanted to play them. Like I played Dark Souls 3 for about an hour. And was like,
I was about to say, is there any drive to go backwards almost and play? No. Okay. Fair enough.
Like they look like really sick games. I like the idea. I've loved the idea of them. I think they're legendary. But no, I played Elden Ring because it seemed a bit more my kind of game. There was a bit more of an RPG element to it. It looked like you could do a bit more builds and this kind of shit. Like I don't know anything about the first Dark Souls. I've watched clips and found them funny, and that's about it. I've seen speedruns and shit, like that's all I know about it. And then Dark Souls 3, I played an hour where you played the tutorial guy. All I know is you come down this like graveyard cliff, there's some guy in a giant center circle, and he beat the shit out of me for an hour. I uninstalled the game, never played it again.
Iduck's Gundyr made you uninstall. Interesting.
I couldn't get used to the idea of an enemy's attack pattern to that degree. I just couldn't be bothered. And he's probably like, now that I'd played Elden Ring, I could probably go there and beat the shit out of him. I know that.
Oh yeah.
Like
it was, so he's weak to fire. So if you select fire bombs at the start, you'd have beaten him. Also, I believe you just dive into the arm.
I did notice that. I kept doing that, but I couldn't work the game out.
It's just all about the timing. You've got used to timing nowadays. Like between the games, there is slight timing, like sort of issues, not issues. But it's timing variances, and obviously Sekiro dodging is not what you need to do. It's more...
Sekiro I'd be interested in playing, because it looks fucking... Some of the clips I see, I'm like... There's that one I keep seeing where, like, you dance along the clouds and shit against this giant looking dragon thing, and I'm like, that looks fucking sick. But
it's a great little puzzle boss fight, I've heard.
But I know how difficult that game is, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Good. Because I used to play anything in anything. Now I'm very much like, I'll follow the hype, have a look at the hype, and then go, maybe. Like, at first I didn't think this Helldivers hype was going to be real. And then the more and more I watched it, I think, okay, no, it looks sick. It looks sick, because I'm a very dramatic person when it comes to video games. I don't do it intentionally, but I play off it a little bit. But I fucking love doing it. Like the idea of playing a video game where you can be like, I'll save my friends, it's fine, I'll be the last man standing kind of bullshit. Yeah, I'd be fucking mint at that. I know it. I'd be so good. But like, I thought, you know what, if it's a live service game, they traditionally die. They don't ever really survive live service games like that. They tend to be shit. So now that I see the progress they're already making of it, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Might become something like Justice League. They've just finished, you've finished the part of a story you can do. There's now meant to be 12 seasons of it, and it's shit apparently. I think the gameplay looks great personally, but the idea that you have to wait for the story to finish in a Justice League story and it's not planned for its second season in a while, that's a bit worrying for a game like that. You know, people are joking that Rocksteady are going to shut down as a result of Justice League, and I'm like, don't be silly. They're backed by Warner Brothers. They'll be fine. Like, they've had mass success in the background. One game is not going to make them shut down. Things don't work like that.
I don't know. There have been times when that has happened to companies, especially this is now post-COVID.
Maybe.
Like, it's more like it definitely happened a fair bit. Like, one game suddenly is what killed off a franchise, which then kills off the company.
Yeah, but the thing is,
I'm not going to say that no, it's not going to happen, because it easily could, especially with how fragile things are post-COVID.
I think the reason why it doesn't work it won't happen to Rocksteady specifically is, one, again, the backing of Warner Brothers, but the main thing is Justice League still sold a lot of fucking copies. It was still a high-selling game. It just didn't have good reviews. Like, there were some people who were like, no, I liked the story, gameplay was fun, cool. But then some people couldn't separate the gameplay from the story, and they were like, oh, the game was shit. And I'm like, well, what was good about it? The game was fun, but the story was shit. And I'm like, you've got to separate these things sometimes. I know they go hand in hand, but sometimes you've got to separate them a little bit. Because, like, if I look at gameplay of Elden Ring to story, the gameplay is levels, because there's a story in Elden Ring, but it's not one that's like, it is the narrative. You're just following a path, sort of. You're just going point to point, doing this. Aha, I knew that seemed weird. Sorry, my mic thing popped out its mic then. Interesting. Like, it's going point to point. It's like that kind of thing. Like, it makes sense. You know, games that are purely narrative based and have limited game mechanics, there's a reason for that, because it's not a gameplay game. It's a narrative game. Like, what's a good example? It's that horror game, the one where you make your choices. I never played it.
The one where you make your choices.
The one on PlayStation.
Oh, Until Dawn. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
I'm like, the one you make
decisions. Like gameplay on that. Gameplay on that one was shit, but it's not a gameplay game. It's a fucking thingy one. Whereas you look at another example of that one is the Walking Dead series, any Telltale game. It's not a gameplay game. It's all narrative story, and it's, you know, choices you make to affect the story. So when people don't separate these things, I'm like, you're not helping yourself a little bit here. If a game has all of it, then fair. Like, if it's an open world game, there has to be a good story and good gameplay. Spider-Man 2, good story, good gameplay. Cool. Baldur's Gate, not the world's greatest gameplay mechanics, but it also had mechanics that people had never explored before that were great. So every game has its ups and downs, but when people try to shit on it for one complete reason, it's like, can't do that. A game can still be fun if it has a shit story. I'm not being funny.
It just depends on what kind of game you've gone for.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So stuff like so I know one of my mates loved Prototype 2.
Oh,
Prototype wasn't the best. It was just one of those sort of, a game like Just Cause is exactly the kind of game you're referring to.
Just Cause 2 was amazing.
Gameplay is just ridiculously fun.
And story was
Story is just like, oh yeah,
I go to Ireland and help him with my high heels.
Essentially.
Just Cause 3, horrifically bad story, insane fun game mechanics. Just wasn't great of a game. Oh, Just Cause 2 was a legendary game. Holy hell. Being able to fucking use your gun to just grapple onto boats as fast as you can, or flying boats into the air, or grabbing... Oh, I miss that game so much. They need to remaster that. That was an amazing game.
Yeah, rather than remastering, I don't know, a 3-year-old game.
What, Just Cause 2?
No, I'm talking about... I'm saying rather than doing something like The Last of Us Part 2 remastered...
Mate, that introduced so many new mechanics.
No, but rather than do that now, you could have done that in like 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do a remaster for 3 years. I'm like... You could have just done many other games, but the fact that that's got a remaster so soon...
is weird.
Yeah.
The remaster itself, like...
It's like when Skyrim gets like 100 versions come out, you're like...
Welcome
really?
to the new Skyrim for 30-40 quid. Oh, what's new this time? We got the last year of DLC in it now, as well as all the other ones. Oh, shouldn't that be in there? No. It's a new one.
No. It's like, no, this is new. Do you know what we got? We're going to release Skyrim now for the Wii U. Or something like that. And you're like, oh, yes,
I'm still waiting for Skyrim Mobile. I'm still waiting for Skyrim Mobile. It's going to happen at some point. It has to.
I'm not going to say it won't.
Because you can't put it past Bethesda. They might go, you've tried Fallout Mobile.
Actually, sorry. No, it's got to be, I can tell you why it won't happen.
Why?
Windows Phone exclusive.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Although actually, the whole thing with Microsoft actually not having exclusives anymore to Xbox, isn't it?
That's embarrassing.
That was in the news.
That is embarrassing.
I mean, that's going to single-handedly kill off the console wars.
Finally.
Finally is the right term.
Because it's
like I've swapped over the divide. I used to be Xbox through and through, but then suddenly
I was PlayStation, then went Xbox, and went back to PlayStation.
I mean, I was Nintendo like a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, I was DS and Game Boy.
Side character, like DS, Game Boy, GameCube.
But this is the thing, like when my very first console, if I can really fucking bring my brain back, was a Game Boy Advance, I think, or a Game Boy then a Game Boy Advanced, because I didn't really grow up in a gaming household until my sister moved in. So when she moved in, she brought the Game Boys in and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh shit, she introduced me to Pokemon, then introduced me to other consoles, and then I got my PlayStation 1 from her. We played like Colin McRae Racing, and that was amazing with my dad back in the day. And then I remember very precisely on my like 7th birthday or 8th, I think, I bought a PlayStation 2, you know, the really fucking tiny one they had, with the little flap disc that goes up, no bigger than like a notepad or an iPad these days. Jesus Christ, they were great. I remember I couldn't afford the big one by £1 at Argos, so they were like, you can get the small one for £1 less, and I was like, I'll do it. And I remember getting that, and it was, I love that PlayStation 2 is the greatest console of all time. That's not a debate for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong argument.
Like
people could make arguments, but it's definitely
wasn't it up until the next gen, this generation, or it might still stand, wasn't it the highest selling console of all time?
I believe so.
Like, it was, the games on that, like Simpsons,
like it got support until what, 2000, and like I think it was getting still support
12?
for like games until like someone like 2010, 2011, maybe even 2012, as you say.
Yeah, then they stopped. That's when it got announced.
I'm just trying to remember when WWE games stopped getting released on it. That would be a good sign to freaking remember.
Like shit,
I don't remember WWE 13
just
on it.
Announced. I've just remembered. I saw James post about it on Insta because I saw it on Twitter. About the Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 Classic Editions being released on PS5 and Xbox One in March. They're re-releasing them.
It's the same price as the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC.
Yep, and I'm buying both. I have to. I need to play Battlefront 2, but again, I love that game.
I don't know about committing yet. I did also play Battlefront 2, but I don't want to commit to it before they suddenly screw it up by making it a goddamn cash grab. I'm being cautious.
Those games? I don't know, actually. I didn't care about that back in the day. Now I'm fucking cautious as shit.
Yeah, like I'm not 100% certain.
Star Wars.
If you could just check that, if it is, because I know they obviously have the license nowadays.
Right, collection PS4 and PS5 revealed. It is Dun, 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 dun. Oh shit, they're showing what's included. The bonus maps! Oh my god, Asagi Venturers and Kit Fisto's being included. Bespin, Cloud City. Oh!
But who?
I don't.
Who is
I'm checking the PlayStation website. Oh, stop
Don't
giving
say
me
that.
all this good stuff. This looks so good. Oh no shit, trophies are included. You morons.
As long as it's not EA, we're fine.
See, that's the up to date one. What about the 2005? Fucking hell. It was Pandemic and LucasArts.
Okay.
But who is doing
Who's doing it now?
But if it's the classic editions, it's Pandemic and Savage Media. So let's have a look at the PS5 version. It is bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. It doesn't. That's the up-to-date version. That's the up-to-date. It doesn't really say anywhere. I think it's just PlayStation.
Okay, if it's just PlayStation, then we might be okay.
Just watching the trailer now. Peggy T. Don't see anything. Maybe in the bio. PlayStation everywhere. Check again. Oh mate, watching this gameplay back, I miss it so much. These games were so good. Thing is, I have the best memories on Battlefront 1. Battlefront 2, I think I just prefer because it was Jedis and Sith. Like you could use them for. Oh, hang on, pause it there. It is Lucasfilm Games and Asper.
Okay.
Nothing to do with EA.
Promising.
Brilliant.
The fact it's nothing to do with EA might have just secured a customer.
So
I'll
sounds
still be
like,
cautious.
I'm just reading the fine
I'll see
print.
the first couple days, and then
I've never heard of
after
Asper.
the first couple days.
Let's have a look. Asper. What have they done before? Video games. What have they done? They have. Oh wow, that's their list. Yeah, you know what? I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's a good one. Okay.
Knights of the Republic, Jedi Knight 2, Call of Duty 1, Borderlands 2, Black Ops 1, Lego Star Wars, Civ 5, Sims 2, Force Unleashed, Harry Potter: The Chamber of Secrets, Tomb Raider 1 to 3 remaster. Yeah,
so essentially,
Tony
what we know
Hawk,
is what we know is they've made good use of the Star Wars license previously, and they've had their hand in some pretty good games,
and some remasters
well.
and re-releases, and they've done well.
So everything seems promising.
As long as they do no pay to unlock bullshit, they don't do any paywall shit. If you just re-release the game with the bonus content included, I don't know, even if they don't tap up the graphics, I'm not overly fussed. I don't really care. Because I'm not playing it again for the fancy graphics. I just want to play that. I want to use that ridiculous jump the Jedis can do in that game because it's the funniest shit I've ever seen. The fact you can go to the fucking top of the fucking spaceship in the middle of this plaza and jump to the highest point. Oh, that was. Oh my god, I'm getting so nostalgic, man. Oh, I can't wait. That is my childhood of fuck. And that's the thing. If that's £35 or £45. Gladly. That's 2 games from my childhood I will sink my teeth into. Galaxy Conquest of 64 fucking maps. Give me that. I'll take it in a heartbeat. You know, playing... I can't pronounce it. What's the Wookiee world called? I can't pronounce it. It's like Kayash Shekya. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, the Wookiee world. Hang on.
The Wookiee world.
The one where all the Wookiees go... Brrr. Kayash. I can't even fucking spell it anymore. I've just spelled something that Google can't even recognize.
Why didn't you just type in the Wookiee world?
You know what? That might be a fair point. Wookiee
But you're saying it that damn much, and you're like, I can't spell it.
Kashyyyk.
Oh, if only there was a way.
Kashyyyk. That's it. Like that, playing Kashyyyk was amazing. Playing on Hoth was amazing. City of Clouds was amazing. Like those games were so good, and they just don't make them like that anymore. They tried with some games. I know they have. Like Battlefield had that kind of vibe where it was drop everybody on a map and see what they could do, kind of thing. You know, I remember playing. You could fight on the star bases, and then all of a sudden hop in a TIE fighter and go in to have a space battle, and then die out there and come back in again and do the same thing. And I'm like, that was Conquest was mate. How did this turn into us talking about Elden Ring for 20 minutes and then nostalgia shit? Honest. Oh, that actually works. Actually,
It's the first nostalgia segment we've technically had, and it's nothing to do with mine. Like my nostalgia thing basically sounds like it got canned and just moved into this one episode.
mate.
If we're being honest,
Mate, the nostalgia things, the balls in
and it's
your
not even
court.
me just being nostalgic; it's you just being nostalgic.
Yeah, true. Actually, mate, you've had a busy start to the year. It's very fine. Like we haven't even done an anime react this week.
We haven't.
But that's because
I was
it's just.
I was gonna say something, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
That and it's a slow week, isn't it? There was a recap week for
we got
Solo
2
Leveling.
episodes to catch up on Solo though.
Two episodes to catch up on, but also
It's a recap
one of them
this
was a
week,
recap episode.
so realistically, by next episode, we will caught up with Solo. Probably a bit more on Promise than a bit more on Thingy. We're actually, I think, if we're catching up on Promise, or not catching up on Promise, but let's say if we did 2 Solo, 2 the others, we'll be near the end of Promise soon. Because we're 3 episodes in. There's 12 episodes. We'll be at the halfway point in 2 episodes, or just under the halfway point.
Are we 3 episodes in? I thought we were 4. I thought we were 4 in on everything.
So no, in 2 episodes time, we're bang on halfway point. Ooh, big moment, big moments.
Indeed.
Nah, to be fair, I thought this year was going to be a shit year for video games to a degree. I thought there'd be a few good hits, and that's about it. Like, they're talking about the PlayStation 5s in the latter stages of its years, and barely anyone can get it for years. Like, it's only been available the last 2 years, realistically. You could fight for it a few years before that, and like, you have to be quick on your pre-order or just be very, very lucky. But the last 2 years, you can realistically just buy it wherever now. Which I don't know how. I don't know how you could get away with not being able to buy one properly for ages.
Thing is, right? I'm just gonna say it quietly, you know.
You got yours first time, I know.
What?
You got the PlayStation 5 first time? Oh, you didn't.
I mean, I did, yes, but that wasn't the thing I was gonna whisper really quietly. This time next week. By the time this releases next week.
This week.
No, but next week's what I'm implying. Okay. So by the time next week's episode airs, I'm gonna have FF7 Rebirth.
And he hasn't even finished the remake yet.
Shut up. Didn't need to do me like that.
Sorry, you didn't think mentioning the Apex collab game would make me just mention the remake at some point? Although to be honest, I've seen clips of the remake and I low-key want to play it a little bit.
It's good.
Just because the graphics, it looks really fucking amazing.
It's
For some reason, I've got FF7 in my head still as the top-down tactical kind of game.
Turn-based.
Is it still like that? Turn-based and shit?
No.
Is it more hack and slash now?
It's more hack and slash these days. Is FF7 remake?
Because
remake and rebirth. I don't know about. I assume rebirth still will be, but remake was hack and slash. But when you went to use one of your spells or an item, if you're not playing in hard mode, the game would slow down like into proper slow motion. You could see the bosses attacking you. You could technically use that. Like it moves like really slowly.
Right.
So if you're looking for a specific waiting for that to happen, I know what attack's happening. You can use it tactically like that if you want to be that guy.
Right.
Like you could work specific counters in.
Because that's why like as much as I loved the idea behind FF7, or Final Fantasy in general, I think I saw how many games were out when I was a kid. I think there was still even a lot then, and I was like, that's a lot of shit to catch up on. I was a kid still. And I didn't enjoy that kind of game at the moment, at that point. These days, I could easily just scroll through it without an effort, but it's like, I kind of enjoy all mediums of games. Like, I'll play Hearthstone sometimes. I love Hearthstone. I don't, like, I won't play, I play it maybe a couple times a year because it's that kind of game for me. I'll play League of Legends every now and then. Then I'll go play Val, then FIFA, then Power World. I'm all over the place with games. But back then, I was very much like, everything has to happen now kind of thing, like most kids were.
So, for context, you weren't alive when FF7 came out. I was barely alive when FF7 came out. I was about 2 months old.
Yeah, fair.
Like, that's when FF7 was. So you're saying, when your childhood, there was plenty of games already.
I think
that's just mainline games.
How many games are there, like, numbers-wise? I know there's got different titles.
16 was this year. This past year. So Final Fantasy 16 was this past year. But then you got stuff like Final Fantasy 13 Part 2. Just not 14. Final Fantasy 13 Part 2. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's so many games. There are so many.
My sister tried to get me back into it back in the day, and I was like, I'm just going to stick to blue and red. I'm fine. Let me catch my Bulbasaur. I know it's probably wrong generations, but still, catch my Bulbasaur and all this, and just let me play my game. And these days, I'll play anything to a degree. Like, the one game I really want to re-release still, just because I think it's quite an original game, is as much as I'm wrong, it's Simpsons Hit and Run. And they've released it on PC. I can play it right now if I wanted to, but I want the old style of it on a legitimate way. I don't want to do some sort of ROM like emulator I have to do. I just want to play it like legitimately. I want a remaster, or I just want someone to re-release it like they're doing the Classic Edition. No one saw this Classic Edition coming. It came out of nowhere. Not one person goes, yeah, 2024 they'll re-release this. Not behind a paywall. What? Hello? Like, it's mad. And yet,
it is ridiculous.
My old favorite nostalgia games are coming to life, and yet my current comfort games are just turning into my distasteful games.
What do you mean? I mean, I'm suddenly just, hating Madden despite becoming a Madden streamer.
Yeah, well, isn't Madden's made by EA as well, isn't it?
It is made by EA, yes.
Does it have the same bullshit that Ultimate Team has?
It does have an Ultimate Team, which is incredibly sweaty. Just normal games of Ultimate Team on Madden are foot champs.
Ah, fair.
Like, that's the level of sweat. Like, I got destroyed in a game. Like, there was a thing. So, in Madden, if you concede 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, the game offers you a, do you want to quit? Like, it pauses it for the opposition. It's like waiting for your opponent to forfeit. You can say no and stay in, but it'll go, it's 21-0, mate. Are you sure you want to do this?
Pity exit.
Yeah. So that's just there, and I'm like,
it's like there's very few sports multiplayer games that are out these days where you can play them and there's no issues anymore. Like 2K, NBA 2K, I think had that from like 2015 to I'd say 18. It was almost unparalleled to a degree. I think since maybe 2019 and 2020, a lot of it's been behind a paywall, and it's just been paid to win shit. And I'm like, because I played it like, I don't know why I had this really odd habit with NBA where I'd wait until the game cycle would end for NBA, and then I'd play maybe the career mode, where I'd play like my team or something like that. And then
that becomes cheaper.
Yeah, well, it would be like a $5 or $10. I'd be like, yeah, fuck it, I liked last year's one, I'll play it again. Because I never got into it to a degree like I need to get it this year. It was always like I'll be interested to see what happens, because it never hooked me completely. Some games can hook me in completely and I don't even have to hesitate on it. And some games it takes probably a few iterations to truly hook me in from the get-go, like release date get-go. Whereas these days I just tend to wait a few weeks and just sort of go, yeah, fine, why not? Like Helldivers 2, even if I could afford it at the time, I'm still not going to go out and spend £35 on a game I know nothing about. Like, the last version was top-down. This is now not top-down. So I'm like, oh, that's different. Like, top-downs are... Yeah. Like, I remember Halo Wars. Halo Wars was mint.
I'd love a bit of Halo Wars.
Never played
Halo Wars. It
turned
into a video game special. I didn't either.
It never interested me. First one, I loved it, because it was so different.
Well, it was the mobile game as well. That was one that I think did get a mobile game.
Yeah, so. I never played that. I heard about it. I just never went near it.
I never touched.
To be fair,
Halo Wars was a great. It had a nice little story as well. Like
I think like every game to a certain degree in the last like 5 years, every major not 5 years, I'd say 8, has gone from being a top series and then they've fucked up along the way and they've never fixed the issue. Halo did it. Gears of War did it. Call of Duty has done it countless times. FIFA never stopped doing it. You know, I remember when FIFA 16, 15, they were actually better games than this. Clear. So clear. Content better, gameplay better. I prefer, remember, I don't remember which FIFA iteration it was, where pace was just the thing. You put 79 rated right mid Aubameyang on and you win the game. Because you'll just run.
79 rated right mid is FIFA 15.
Right. Yeah, so for example, like him, you put him in the game, you probably win the game because you pure got pace on it. I remember that iteration. There was the one
near post OP with that as well.
Yeah, near post. Like I prefer those metas to this one, which isn't even a meta. It's the only way to play half the time. You either play excruciatingly patient possession base through the middle and eventually find your opening with maybe a skill move, or you just eventually get through and it works, or you rush it in and get it, or you just cut it back and you score. And that's not fun to do. I've always been a football purist in the fact that I play FIFA to play how I want to play. I don't play FIFA to play how I want and how I need to win every game. So I never learnt skill moves and shit like that. It doesn't interest me. I want to play football to pass people to death and pass them around and rush the attack and get from A to B as quick as I can. That kind, I love that, but I can't do that anymore. I tried it at the start of the season. I still try it now. I get battered. Absolutely. It works sometimes because people don't have the patience for it. Whereas now they've just killed it. Assassin's Creed killed their own game as well. They went from a really solid story and then for no reason. Battlefield, they were doing well. Shit on it. There is no major franchise, I'm pretty sure, up to this point, who have had multiple iterations every other year or every year where they're still fine now. I don't know of one. More than 3 titles. Because you can go for trilogies and they would go well, but I'm on about more than 3.
Yeah, it's about more than 3.
Like, you know, the Call of Duty, the Assassin's Creed, the Battlefields, the fucking all those kinds. Like, where they are just, they're technically live service games, some of them, or they're just complete story narrative games they release, you know, yearly or bi-yearly kind of thing. I don't think.
Yeah.
Even Pokemon did it. Pokemon killed themselves. Zelda might be the only one. But they've had different types of games and they've done well. Like they upped their game to a whole new fucking level and it's never really looked back and gone, yeah, we shit ourselves at this point. But they come out every couple of years though, don't they? But there is more than 3, so it does fit my criteria, to be fair. Yeah,
so with Pokemon, I'm interested. Which one would you say they killed the franchise with? Because I know what I would consider my answer, but I'm interested what you're thinking.
I don't know actually, because I played every poke consistently for a while and then I stopped because I just wasn't interested anymore. And that wasn't because something the franchise had done. That was because I just grew up and I wasn't interested in poke at the time for some reason. Stupid me. But then
I feel if there was an answer, the answer would be Sword and Shield.
That did ring a bell in my head purely because I just didn't understand it. I don't understand why. Like it felt very, what's the word? Stereotypical, a bit. Like it was very, but let's face it, it was just England in the 1800s, 1700s for no reason. It was so over the top weird.
I mean, some of my problems with it are a bit more than just that. It's the fact that power creep is so big. Like they introduced the Pokemon they introduced. Urshifu is stupid.
Yeah.
It is, that bear literally is mechanic breaking.
Yeah, true.
Like, so stuff that used to not be ruined by Urshifu. The move Protect. You know that move Protect that stops you taking damage unless it's a very specific circumstance?
Stops everything near enough, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't stop is stuff like gimmicks like Gigantamax, which you're doing in Gen 8. But stuff like that. There's specific versions. Urshifu doesn't care for that. Its ability says, oh, that Protect of yours, worthless. So that breaks VGC. Like the doubles format, which protects one of the most popular moves. It's on most Pokemon, unless they've got a choice item.
Yeah.
They're gonna have Protect because it allows them to pivot round, stall turns out. There's certain, so if you're trying to stall out a Tailwind or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that no. Urshifu's still pressuring you.
Jesus.
So also, if you, not that you boost up regularly in VGC, but it has a move, and it depends on which version, because there's a dark type version which is Wicked Blow if you have that Urshifu, or there is Surging Strikes if it's the water type one, which that one's more common, I believe. The water, Urshifu Water, or I think it's also known as Rapid Strike. Yes, Surging Strikes is a move that hits 3 times and it crits all 3 times.
Oh no.
And Wicked Blow is a one It's only one attack, but it also crits. So trying to play around critical hits, which normally that's a thing people hate to see is the word critical hit. 1 in 16 chance. What happens if you get crit 3 times? That is one-shotting a lot of things that you have. Because you can't even rely on something like a focus sash.
Yeah.
A focus sash means that you, like, if you're going to get one shot, you at least live.
Right.
Because it hits 3 times, it's not classed as one-shotting you.
True.
It's, oh, you've been hit here, oh, now you're dead.
Multi-hit.
So, yeah. It basically breaks a few different mechanics of the game, and it's like, well, that's ridiculous.
What was the first iteration they took the jump into 3D? Was it the remasters?
That would have been X and Y.
Oh, X and Y, that was it. X and Y,
So
I
there's
actually
always
really enjoyed that.
See, people have mixed opinions on X and Y.
I liked it as a good introduction to 3D. Wasn't really fussed.
So I think people, the most controversial takes from back in the day are actually just really popular nowadays. Is people hated Generation 5. Generation 5 was hated for the longest time.
It wasn't the greatest, I'll give it that.
No, it's now beloved.
Yeah. At the time, I know everyone.
At the time,
that.
everyone.
I really
hated
liked
it.
the legendary.
You've taken all
really
the Pokemon.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, another one that people hated from that was Landorus.
Sorry, my phone just popped up with something. Porto have scored a 94th minute winner to beat Arsenal 1-0 in their last 16 leg.
Love to hear that.
They're going to get knocked out by another Portuguese side.
No, they're not.
It happened in Europa League last year.
Yes, it happened in Europa League last year, but funny enough, this is a more formidable Arsenal side.
And who knows? It could be. I don't watch Porto, so I can't swing it. Fuck knows what they can do. Put 12 men behind.
You do have to remember, this is in Porto. This isn't like they've won the away leg 1-0. This is they've won the home leg 1-0. Arsenal, as much as I don't like Arsenal will absolutely throw everything at them second leg and probably win like 3-0.
Nah, I'm confident
they'll be comfortable on aggregate.
I tend to be right about predictions about other teams, just not my own.
Fair.
But no, like Poke have had its ups and downs over the years, and some things that even in bad games where they've done shit wrong, they've still got some things right. I think specifically with X and Y, I think they took a leap of faith and realized at the time it wasn't love, but it's one of those things where it's like you look back on it and go, yeah, that they've released so much worse since then. It's great.
They've released so much worse since then, but the thing is, the problem people have with X and Y is just so how goddamn handholdy it is.
Yeah.
It's literally, oh, you can't turn off the XP share. Everything's just gonna be over leveled and okay. Yeah, there's no option of challenge.
Because didn't you used to have to put the XP share on an individual poke and then switch it every time they get to a certain level? Like if you wanted to get them to 45, you go sound, he's on 45, give it to the next one, get him to certain. Like I didn't mind that. I knew eventually they'd give it to everybody.
A group XP share is fine. A group XP, I've not got an issue with a group XP share.
Yeah.
The problem you have is if you can turn it off. Because suddenly, if you're... So, Nuzlockers, as an example. You don't want to progress something beyond a certain level. You want to level it up as much as you can so that when you're in that boss fight, if it levels up in the boss fight...
Yeah.
Not a boss fight, gym battle, freaking
still
boss
counts.
fight. I'm still speaking Elden Ring. But if you're in your battle with the gym leader, if it levels up mid-fight, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It still reached the level cap at the time.
Yeah.
XP share, you just get into one random encounter or a random fight, you're suddenly, oh god, can I actually have this in my party? Then it's over leveled and it's not able to be used for the next gym.
Yeah.
But also, that game was way too easy. The fact it gives
100%.
you, the fact that most of the, only like what, 2-3 fights have Mega Evolutions in the main game.
I was surprised by that, to be fair. I thought there'd be nearly every fight. It makes sense to me.
You would have thought that would make some sense. But the fact they give you is, oh, here's a Mega Lucario you get through the story.
That's got up that.
That's just gonna you can blitz through the rest of the game now.
Yeah, true.
Like you look at who gets a Mega Evolution. I believe it's a Mega Gyarados is for the main villain for Team Flare.
Yeah.
And then also, Diantha's got a Mega Gardevoir. By the way, that's Fairy type. You've got a Steel type, a Steel Fighting type in Lucario, so you've got super effective damage from Steel.
Yeah.
Like, it's handholdy. That's why people don't like it. It's a alright game, but it's way too handholdy.
For me, I don't think there's a specific game I can name it went downhill. I think there was a mechanic changed. It's so silly, but I think a lot of old school Poke fans will know I'm on about this. It's when they made the rival your friend. Where they went from, I'm going to do everything in my power to beat you, like Barry. I remember Barry. Barry made it his fucking life goal to beat you. I swear it was the blonde-haired kid, right?
It was the blonde-haired kid, but he wasn't really...
He was more cool side. He wasn't the aggressive one. But he
was a goofy...
but compare him to the rest of them, he's demonic. But he's not. But you know what I mean? Like, before that, they even had more aggressive ones. Then they started going to this... Oh, we'll level together and we'll be friends. Oh, we'll battle every now and then. And then it went to very, like the word you used, hand-holdy friendly shite. Like, your rival wasn't your rival. It was just a friend who you played every now and then.
No, it's the fact that, your rival, they decided to take the thing that's weak to your starter.
Fucking hell, I remember that. As soon as I noticed that, I was like, why have you changed this?
And it's like, really?
I remember when I can't remember
them being stupid.
I remember when I got Piplup and they had Chimchar, I'd be like, oh. And then there was other times where I go for one, then I go for grass, and then they've got fire, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking lose this. I'm gonna fucking lose this straight off the bat. You've got the stronger one than me, and then you cheese it by somehow, and you'd be like, oh, thank God, I've got RNG there. Thank God.
You go from having Gary motherfucking Oak with his Ho convertible. You go to Silver. You go to Silver. That's another edgy rival.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Brendan and May from Gen 3.
Yeah.
That was fine. They were fine.
I don't know why Barry sticks out. I think it's because
Barry's just a bit goofy.
Yeah, Barry was like he was serious and beating you, but he was the cool kid kind.
Yeah, he's like, oh damn, just runs literally into a house.
He was the screaming. Like, he was like a screaming kid whining like, "You beat me, no!" and just closed the door. Which I still loved that. That's better than what we've got now.
Gen 5, you get Bianca and Sharon, and you're like, one of them takes the weaker one takes the better one, sure. Gen 6, we don't talk about the Gen 6 ones.
Yeah. That
was like, it's not Giacomo, but it's like they're bad.
Yeah.
That's when, they're just bad.
Yeah.
Gen 7, how bad. Top, bad. Then you get Nimona back in Scarlet and Violet. Nimona, that's more of a, like, she's a freaking... she's on crap.
But that's because she's coming from a generation we already know. Right?
Gen 9, the most recent generation.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of a game. Carry on.
Yeah, Nimona is a champion.
Oh, yes, Scarlet.
Not in Scarlet and Violet. She's actually a champion. She's more of a champion than a goddamn champion.
For some reason, I heard you say Scarlet and Violet, then that's why I got confused. I heard Omega Ruby in my head. I don't know why. I immediately went, yeah, that's why.
Sapphire.
Yeah, because
and I'm like, what are you talking about? But yeah, so the thing with Nimona, she is a oh god, I can hear that piano. Yeah. Don't with that piano. Like, if I'm suddenly,
actually, from what we've just said, everything changed after Diamond and Pearl. From what we've just said.
Yeah, because you did have two rivals so you did have two rivals in Gen 5, but I would say Gen 6 is where it really fell off, because you still had a solid rival.
Yeah.
In Gen 5,
because it went from Arch.
You also had Hugh in Black and White 2. You had Hugh as well.
Yeah, true. Hugh was quite cool.
Hugh was good.
I liked Hugh.
So yeah, Hugh was edgy. He was trying to get back his sisters. Oh, what was the Pokemon? It was Gen 5. Purloin.
Shit, I didn't even have to research that. Yeah. Purloin.
So, you have that. You've got him making a return to form. But the Mona is better than Geeta, who's the actual champion of the region. Like, there's multiple champions of the region, but do you know in the second DLC they finally fixed the freaking goddamn champion of the game? Like, not in the main sort of playthrough, but if you do a tournament, just a random tournament in the game, then she finally sees sense and's like, I should use Glamora first and King Gambit last. Considering that Glamora's ability sets down toxic spikes, which would hurt you in the long run if it starts first.
Yeah.
In the main game, that's her final Pokemon. That's her ace. And King Gambit, by the way, which should have been a ace the whole time, has an ability that makes its attacks stronger the more of her Pokemon are fainted. It literally just, all they have to do is go Glamora first, King Gambit last, and it becomes more credible. She still uses a Go-Go, which that's stupid.
Yeah.
Why a champion's got a Go-Go? I'm not getting into it. I'm not getting into why Geeta's a bad champion, but
no, that's fair. Like, I still think, like, other than the classics, I think the one I can remember the most out of is Diamond and Pearl, because it's just, I played it so much. There was so the legendaries were great, the region was great, the gen was great. I liked the story. It was good. It was dark. It was interesting. I loved all of it. It wasn't my childhood one, but I loved it the most. And I wish they'd return to making games like that. Whether you have to pass the IP off to another company, I don't think they ever will. I think Game Freak's got that for life. Or Game Freak pulls their finger out and decide maybe we need to actually make a competitive game for once, rather than be lazy.
Maybe we need to make a Legends game again, but more polished.
Yeah, that it doesn't.
The thing with Legends Arceus,
it doesn't look like it's a half-built game.
Legends Arceus, great concept.
Yep.
It's just that it was a little bit unfinished and rushed.
And the execution was not there, but the concept everyone was on board with 100%.
The thing that I really, really want, because Gen 5's got love finally. Like it took about it took. Because it came out in like 2011, I'm gonna say. Sounds about right to me, but could be wrong. Gen 5 being around, Generation 5. So we're talking black and white.
God, that was 2011.
For me, was it actually 2011?
2010. But hang on, no, 2010 in Japan, but in Europe, America, Australia, 2011. So you're technically right. Okay.
So in and around that sort of time frame.
Yeah, black and white weren't my favourites, but they were quite enjoyable.
If you put a Legends game on that, because that could have a Legends game.
Yeah.
So I see people saying Legends Celebi for Johto or something like that, but Legends Kyurem, right? Oh. Legends Kyurem would make sense because the whole lore behind Kyurem and behind
Zekrom.
Why am I blank? Yeah, Zekrom and Reshiram is that they are the split of the original dragon. Oh, literally, you have the narrative to build it around.
Yeah.
If you're setting a game in the past like you did in the Hisuian region, you can do that with Gen 5, and you can introduce, since power creep's flipping irrelevant at this point, because you can have stupidly overpowered stuff. We need a legendary that's so outrageous in Urshifu. There's stuff this generation that's ridiculous in Miraidon, Koraidon, and the likes. There's so... Power Creep's basically saying everything's ridiculous.
So when you say Power Creep, I briefly have an idea what you mean. Is that when, and this is a really good example because I'm going back to Pearl and Diamond, because it's my best reference point, is when you reach level 50, you get there and Cynthia's pokes are all level 50. And you're like, oh shit, level playing ground.
So it's not. So everything is level 50 when you're in competitive. If you're in proper competitive, power creep. What I mean is the power level of the Pokemon. So there's base stats.
Right.
The base stat totals. So say Deoxys Speed used to be the fastest Pokemon in the game. Now Regieleki exists with a high special attack and the highest possible speed. You've got something like, why am I blanking on? Basically, it's the typings, it's the moves they're given, and just the sheer amount of power they have.
Oh, so it's nothing to do with like how your level ends up being the same as them at the end of the game, kind of thing.
No, relevant. It's completely irrelevant. I'm talking competitively here.
Oh,
like,
I don't have a clue.
If we're talking competitively, it's like back in the day, you could see something like Scizor. Scizor, good typing. Its main weakness is to fire. That's a 4 times weakness.
Yeah.
But it had Generation 4. It gained Bullet Punch. It got Technician. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you do not see Scizor because the threats are like Scizor's like here.
Yeah.
Maybe like here. And suddenly you got something up here that's just oppressive. Yeah. You will see the same Pokemon, the same teams over and over again because there is... if you're not running an Urshifu of some kind, you have to be running something specifically to counter it.
Yeah.
It's... There are things that oppressive. So power creep is how over the generations, what Mewtwo would have been the best Pokemon. Realistically, he was the best Pokemon in Generation 1. Hands down, no debate.
Yeah.
Best typing, ridiculously good stats, has amnesia, which boosts its stats to max essentially, because back in Gen 1 it was only a special stat. Was one of the best in still come Gen 2, Gen 3, something like Rayquaza was threatening it, but
that's
it was still pretty much at the top. Like suddenly over time, the legendaries got more, like they got better and stuff just getting left behind.
Yeah.
That even Generation 5, Landorus Therian has been a Pokemon that has been outrageous for the longest time. Now it's finally falling off.
See, to me,
so you've heard me using Landorus.
Yeah, to me, the concept of like the legendaries being overpowered and over the top, that always made sense to me. Because
no, it's the fact they keep getting better. So stuff that was
I've like in terms of like, you know, fucking hell, I was about to say fucking Lamball then for some reason. Jesus fucking Christ. like a Rattata level comparison to like a Deoxys, I expect there to be a difference there. But then I know what you mean by like every year they're just getting more and more powerful, when in reality, I think they should have just changed the pokes but kept them sort of the same distance apart. Because it's meant to make sense, but now you've gone from like dirt level to they're not godlike anymore, they're universal threats. And it's like, well, you capture one of these and use it in the story, you've won.
It's suddenly the one I was trying to think of that for a stupidly good Pokemon was Zacian.
Right.
Zacian was the Gen 8 like cover legendary. That's the sword.
Oh yeah.
That has the best typing in the game, arguably, of Steel Fairy.
Right.
That's got so many good offensive and defensive sort of capabilities.
Yeah.
It has a attack called Behemoth Blade, which dealt a ridiculous amount of damage.
Love that.
Plus, in its own generation, when it came out, it was even better in Gen 8.
Yeah.
So it dealt double damage to a Pokemon that had Dynamaxed, which was the whole gimmick of the region was Dynamax.
By the way, Dynamax, awful.
I don't know about awful. No. I think it's one of the better ones.
I thought Mega Evolutions was so much better.
Yeah, so you're thinking in terms of... So, if we're talking the gimmicks, personally, I think Gigantamax is one of the most bad. I'm thinking competitive here. You're thinking generally?
I never think competitive because I never saw Pokemon on that landscape.
So, Mega Evolutions were cool. The designs for a lot of them were cool.
Oh,
then you get something like Manectric, which is just a giant lightning bolt on fucking legs. But the thing is, the thing that annoyed me about Mega Evolution is certain things that didn't need it got it.
Oh yeah, that was a bit.
So Lucario, Lucario's sort of cover. Sure, I'm fine with Lucario having one. But it's when you go, sure, we need Mega Rayquaza. We need that in our lives. We need Mega Salamence. That pseudo legendary that's already that. We need something like that. The most pointless one is Mega Garchomp, because Mega Garchomp, by the way, is
sick.
worse than regular Garchomp.
Looks sick though.
It's worse. It gets a little bit more attack,
Yeah.
but not more than what would, because you have to use an item on it.
Yeah.
You'd get the same output from a normal Garchomp, and it's 10 speed slower, so it's just worse.
Yeah. To be fair, because I isolate poke to just playing the poke games. I never look at them outside the comp scene because I never bothered. It wasn't that I was interested. It never crossed my mind even slightly. So like I thought the whole it's Gigantamax, right? That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, Dynamax. Gigantamax is another form of it because that's the ones where they get specific like
boosts, but
there's specific Pokemon that have like certain animations and they have their own gimmick move.
Like,
that's Gigantamax.
I liked the idea of it, but it made poke feel very unserious a little bit. Like, I don't know much.
You're telling me bringing Fat Pikachu back wasn't serious?
Yeah, Fat Pikachu was special, but that's beside the point. But no, like I don't remember which iteration is because your knowledge in this is better than me. Is like when you could do raids on them.
Yep, that would have been Gen 8 and Gen 9. They've got raids.
I hate
so Gen 8
so
Gen 8 is
much.
Terra raids.
I hated that.
Not
like
Terra, Gen 9
like I didn't understand the point of it because yes, it's a big fucking target with loads of health, but like Mega Evolution made sense to a degree. It was a new mechanic of a new special way in the world that makes sense. Coolish, sure. Mm-hmm. But everything else always served a purpose. That just served this is a gameplay service. It doesn't make sense to the rest of the world. And I was like, well.
So the raid dens, specifically the DLC raid dens, had legendaries at the end of them that you could get. Yeah. And they wouldn't be in the game otherwise, because there's no way to canonically get legendaries from other regions to be in this. It's like, it's like I'm going to say the subspace, the thing where you ride on the legendary in Gen 7. Oh, that's a way with the warp holes.
Yeah, where you can go access certain times of nights, that kind of shit. Yeah.
That being able to like get legendaries that you wouldn't be able to get. It's like, this is a different timeline, blah blah blah. It makes sense why you can suddenly get a Zekrom when that's only available in Gen 5 and stuff like that. It's the way of getting that into the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to keep like that sort of format. I loved the original that way of doing it. It felt so special to me that like you log on at this point, this time of night, this will appear, and then you have this one chance until the following day to do it again. You fuck it up, you wait a day, and I'm like, nah, I love this. It was stressful, but I
wasn't even thinking that. That wasn't even what I was. There's a different thing in Gen 7 that I was talking about, but yeah, that as well.
Oh yeah, fair. But it's like
the one I'm talking about is where you literally it's an animation where you ride on your legendary, and once you get to a certain point, there's a certain type of like hole that you have to go through at the end. There's no official end, so you can go for as long as you want. But if you start seeing them after a certain period of time, you'll see one of them, and that will take you to a legendary.
Oh yeah, another one you're about now.
And then
like even those two, sure, but I understood the reason for why the raids were in it. I felt like it was the wrong type of poke game to be in it. I knew the reason, it made sense. I wasn't gonna throw a kick up a fuss, but it's like it sort of made me think poke's changing like the original game. But like if they made a brand new type of poke and put that shit in there, then fair. Like I hope before I die, and I'm saying this out there now because this is a fucking big thing for me, is before I die, I want a poke game with all the regions in it. I want the world of poke. I don't want just one region. It's not going to be. It'll never happen. But
that's tough.
Oh, 100%. But can you imagine how much fun that would fucking be?
Because that couldn't be open world as well. That being open world would be
so much
pretty much. Yeah, that I don't know how they would.
Because
they're trying to go open world.
Because there is a canonical. I can't fucking say it. Canonical map.
You looked that up.
We found.
I remember we've done this.
There is a world. There is a world landscape that makes sense for the regions. I would love nothing more, whether it's called the World of Pokemon or something like that, just to play it before I die. Something like that.
You mean the Pokemon world? Sorry, Power World might sue over that.
Yeah, but AK-47. I'll just launch a Pengul at its fucking turret. It's fine. Like that kind of world to me. Even I don't care if I'm 60 odd, like, and I have to wear a fucking VR headset to play it. Something like that for me would make it'd make me forgive everything they've ever done wrong. I would love something like that to pieces. Even if it's a game where like, no, I need it where like, I was going to say then where you can have like a bit of a cop out where you can go through this portal to go visit this world, go for that portal. No. I legit want to be able to hop on your bike and go across the fucking, the railway, so the fucking bike tracks you can do and go across from, I don't know, Ho-Oh to Johto. Like, Ho-Oh to Johto, like something like that. I'd love nothing more to do that. I don't know how they'd do it. I don't know how you'd lay it out. I don't know what the story would be, how it'd, like, you'd get it to work. But I think with the state of the games in the moment, you could realistically do it whenever. No one would, like, if you release tomorrow a trailer for it going, World of Pokemon, explore the world of Pokemon, and then they showed a brief trailer of you being able to visit every region, I don't think you can fuck it up really badly, sure.
I'll say how there's a few.
It can either go the greatest game they've ever made or the worst thing they've ever made. I think there's no middle ground with it.
Because my sort, I'm just trying to think of logic plot holes here. So that essentially means no more Pokemon regions, because otherwise you'd have to add it to that game. And what's the point in a new game with a new region if it's just gonna be that one? So there's gonna be no real Pokemon games afterwards. So that would have to be pretty much the final Pokemon game,
or the final that type of game, sort of thing.
In which then they'd have to release specifically Legends games to be like, oh yeah, this obviously isn't here anymore because this is just an old version of that region. Like,
at some point, I think Poke has to change its format completely.
To me, it makes no sense to go with what you've done. Just because 100%. The reason I say that is that will basically signal, yeah, there's no real more regions we can, unless we're adding an entire region as a DLC each time we try and do it. They'd have to make that a DLC of that game. And that would have to become almost... You'd almost have to say it would become like a World of Warcraft style game. Where you'd have to add expansions upon expansions. Like, that's the route... With how you're...
That's what I mean. For that to happen, it'd have to be a format world change for that. Because obviously every poke, it confines it to that world. That region is that world. There's nothing outside that world. That makes sense. Like, sure. But I think for that dream to happen, there has to be a format change. There has to be a world change, a game type change, a new platform change, everything. But it'll never happen.
Yeah,
it'll probably be a fan.
I think there's too many issues to make that game happen. Otherwise, it will have to become a World of Warcraft-esque.
Or there's a way of working it that we haven't thought. But again, we'd be here all fucking year to figure that shit out. I mean, but realistically, the next 5 poke games are gonna be lazy. They always are, and it's sad. It means a little bit. They'll either do remasters of a few other ones here and there, maybe release 2 or 3 unfinished games. But I don't get it. But you know, we could go on for years about this. Like,
yeah, you could describe their games as slightly incomplete.
No, we describe their games as fucking unpolished shits.
That's not the name of the podcast.
Yeah, no, we've got a better name than the fucking games. More effort went into this podcast than some of their games. I'm sorry. It's copy and paste of reskins, some of them are. Like an indie developing game that had a 6 million budget made a better looking game in Power World than they did Arceus. It's a better concept than Arceus, but Power World has a better looking game. It's mad. But
that's why I'm just, if people are asking, like, I've seen polls online being like, oh, what kind of Pokemon game do you want this year? And I've seen the majority of people responding, I don't want one this year. I want them to take a little bit extra time.
Yeah.
And then next year, or whenever it's ready, they have an insanely good game that they can then build upon. And that is then
the thing is, some companies have taken that approach recently. I say recently, the last few years, of going, we're going to start releasing yearly. We're going to do it every couple of years or when we've made the game. Like, look at
Zelda.
Exactly. They release it when they're ready to release it, not when the game demands it to be released. Like, look at what happened to Assassin's Creed. They did really well every few years. Then they were like, you know what? We're making that much money. Let's release them yearly. And then they fucked it, and they shouldn't have. They should have kept to what they were doing because they had a story, they had everything, and then they killed the story. And that effectively killed the games for me. The gameplays wise, they've always been fun and a bit repetitive at times, but then they were meh. Whereas now, like, I think a game that releases yearly, unless you're a very specific studio with a very specific game, it does not work anymore. Look at Last of Us 1 to Last of Us 2 gameplay. They are so good, but they took their time with them. They made sure that every ounce of what they wanted was in those games before releasing them. And then even when they were unsure about if they're finished or not, they came back 3 years later and called it a remaster. They could have called it the unfinished edition or the slightly incomplete edition. You know, so like the remaster, for example, I've been playing it. The graphics have changed. It's not like a massive leap, but it feels more PS5. And that sounds like a really generic statement, but you know what I mean? Like, it looks more suited. It looks a bit better. Like, everything looks great. The gameplay is still the exact same. Like, I love that to pieces. And obviously, it's only been the last 3 years. It's not the oldest game on the planet. But God of War Ragnarok, the difference between the first game and the second game, they took their time and released it when it was ready. Game companies are so quickly to make money that they'll just release it when they feel like, oh yeah, we're ready to release it now because fuck it, we can make money quicker. The fans are demanding it. Let's release it now. Let's not make them wait. Naughty Dog have cancelled a game because they're too busy focusing on 1 or 2 more. They're taking their time again. All companies have to do is take some time, and eventually we'd have to understand. Baldur's Gate 3 was a 15-year wait from Baldur's Gate 2 to this one. Helldivers 2 was like a 10-year wait, 5-year wait. Remnant 2 was the same. Like, all these big games that have been big over the last 8 to 9 months have all been games where it's just taken time to release them. And then hidden gem indie developers have popped up out of nowhere. Lethal Company, Palworld. You know, all these different kind of games popping out the woodwork and going, oh yeah, we're doing well as well. But AAA games like Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, FIFA, Pokemon, I don't know if I can ever class Pokemon as a AAA, but it is, isn't it? It's in there for the name, but I don't think the game is.
Name value, but quality-wise, no. Game quality-wise.
If it was the originals, where it was the 2D classic format, yeah, I'd have to call that AAA because they were consistent with it. Now they're sort of just experimenting here and there and just seeing what they can and can't do. Which is, you know, if that's the way they're going to do things, then fair. It's like Bandai Namco. They're known for releasing shit anime games. Same format, non-stop, makes them money. They don't care. They just focus on a story, make sure the story's fine. There's a solo leveling video game before the anime came out.
Fair. I mean, they're also known for Elden Ring and
Dark
Souls.
But they're not the main publisher, are they? Also, the main developer, are they? They're the publishing company, right? Bandai.
They are the publishing. Yeah, they are the publishing.
Yeah,
it's From Software.
So From Software make them, but obviously Bandai have to publish everything. But Bandai make the anime games, and they're just shit. They pump them out like garbage. Like, honestly, you should see them. New anime comes out, new Bandai game. There's so many of them. It's ridiculous. They've made 2 good games, I think, in the past 10 years I've enjoyed. And one was a 4th game in out of a 5-tile series. And the 5th one was a remaster of the 4th one. So, and that was Naruto Ultimate Storm 4, or then Naruto Ultimate Storm Battle Connections, I think it was called. I haven't played that one, but I've seen the story for it. It looks quite good. But fucking hell, we turned this one into a video game nostalgia special.
Oh, for sure.
To be fair, though, football was meh this week, and we haven't watched any anime, so it kind of makes sense.
I do love the fact that we had a great debate just before about football. We had like a good 10-15 minute debate. And yeah, we've not had time for it.
Nah, we're going to have to end it there, guys. It's been a fairly lengthy one, to be fair. But then again, we went over topics that actually were quite good, to be fair. We'll be back this time next week with some anime, maybe some nostalgia catch-ups, hopefully some more news on Erdtree, and maybe the classic editions of Star Wars, see what's going on there. And yeah, hope you all guys have a good week. Anything else you want to say, Luke?
Not really, no.
Oh, he's changed it. He put not really, no. Damn. Man's mixing it
Still
up.
no, isn't it? It's still